Hi, my name is Beth Hiley here for Board Game Geek TV, and we're doing some mobile interviews over here at the Play This One booth, and we're going to take a quick walkthrough of Canopy Walk.
Hello everybody, my name is Dennis and I'm the co-author of Canopy Walk. I'm glad to have you.
All right, so Dennis, I was looking at this one on the Spiel preview list on the BGG. I gotta say, this one really caught my interest too. And not just because it's a place that I would like to travel someday, but because I was very intrigued by the whole concept of creating a walk through the canopy. So I'm wondering, before we get into gameplay, was there a particular inspiration for this game?
Well, yes and no. Number one, Gerard and myself wanted to create a graphically attractive game. And the green, the lush green of the trees and the wild animals in the forest was always a theme that we wanted to reproduce in a game. So when we came up with the idea of Canopy Walk, which is a two-player tile-laying game, it just seemed perfect because it gives you this top view on your walks that you're building through this forest. And it seemed logical that it had to be canopy walks because otherwise you might not even see them in the thick jungle. So it came naturally, and as it was a theme that I wanted to do for a long time, that was a perfect match.
All right, well, Dennis, let's get into some gameplay then for, as you summed it up so nicely already, a two-player tile-laying game.
Yes, so it's a two-player tile-laying game, and I'm going to show you a typical tile here. As you can see, there's a brown path and a white path. That is the base idea of the game, that per tile, you always play your own color, but most of the time you also have to play your opponent's color. And that makes it particularly tricky because you always have to choose, am I building my own path, scoring my points, or am I helping my opponent, or am I even blocking my opponent? So it's a constant battle, if I may say so, between choosing the right tile in the right moment and placing it on the board where it helps you and doesn't help your opponent. So let me quickly show you the different tiles that we have in the game. So we have the basic walk tiles. Then we have what we call the dead-end tree. So any walk could finish at a dead-end tree, but obviously the walk would be finished. Then we have the hut or the platform. Any walk can finish, but also continue at a platform like this. But using the platform costs 1 victory point. So you want to make sure that you don't use many platforms in your paths. And then another thing that is important in the game is that what side you travel from and to. Because if you were able to connect two sides of the board by your own walk, you score a maximum of 3 points per square. But only if you don't have a platform on your way. And obviously, if you don't have a dead end tree. So let me show you the easiest 3 points in the game. I'm just going to show this here. I'm sorry, I have to move you a little bit. So this would be 3 points going from one side to another. Now imagine this tile being here. It would give you 3, 6, 9, 12, 15 points. So obviously, at some time in the game, your opponent will want to put a platform, or worse, a dead-end tree in your way. And that makes all the game fun. Looking out for what you're building on your own and what your opponent is trying to do. Now, to have a chance and to know a little bit better what your opponent might be planning, the draw mechanism goes like this. You have a common stock of 3 piles, of 3 tiles which are always open. So if my opponent, let's say you were the white player, choose to take this one, I know that you're planning for something longer because you're trying to connect 2 squares. Whereas if I saw that you were maybe taking this tile, you might be trying to block me in the next turn. So I would always try and anticipate and take the best tile available here. And if none of these tiles interest me, I may always take one from the draw pile, but then I don't know what I get. So there's also a little surprise element, if you may say so. You always have 5 tiles on your display rack. So you have a certain choice, but then again, some people say 5 is too much. So there's an exclusive house rule for Board Game Geek which I recommend to the heavy gamers, that they only use 3 tiles on their rack. Because, and I'm very, very thankful for all the people who have put comments online, and especially on Board Game Geek. There has been some discussion about the scoring, because people say if I have 5 tiles, it's just too easy to block my opponent. Well, if you only play with 3 tiles, you have less choice, and you will play your game more than destroying your opponent's paths. So thank you very much to the fans out there who brought up this house rule for us.
And then what triggers the end of the game?
Now, the end of the game is triggered by or there's no tiles left, or you cannot place any tile on the board anymore, because there might be blanks. You know, it might happen that some part of the board is simply not occupied, and no matching tile would fill in. So that would be the end of the game. Or if both players pass consecutively, which never happens, because you normally always find that last spot where you can have one last extra point that gives you the score to win the game. By the way, I want to thank Odysseus, the graphic artist for this game. He did an outstanding job. And to finish my little demo, I would just like to show you how great he worked on this. So this is the version for beginning players, where you have a sharp outline of the tiles. But more advanced players may want to flip the board and see the lush jungle, and obviously the tiles blend in so neatly. It's just marvelous. I just love it.
As you would expect a Canopy Walk to actually look like in real life.
And then for those who want to take the time, let me point out, there's tiny little details that are represented on the board and that show the path that you're choosing. And if the camera can follow me here, I'm going to start at the very bottom of the jungle with the piranhas, going up out of the water to the alligators, climbing into the trees with a jaguar, and then flying over the roof of the canopy with the birds. And you will find these animals in the jungle if you look closely. And of course, what you are looking for is the diamonds, and there are diamonds hidden all over the game platform. So for those of you who like that details, have a look. You're going to be looking and finding animals hidden in the jungle everywhere.
It's like a little bit of Where's Waldo thrown into your
Exactly, exactly. We call it Wimmelbild in German. It's a picture where you have thousands of information and you keep looking and finding stuff all the time.
Well, Dennis, thank you so much as always for showing us your fantastic game, which is Canopy Walk.
Thank you very much.